Eddie, we're just over a week away from our first show of 2021. It's been, 6 weeks since Canelo Smith, but now he must be itching to get back in the swing of things.
Can't wait, and as you know, the plan, one show every week of the year, all over the world in 2021. We're going for it. February the 13th, back to Wembley. Josh Warrington, #1 featherweight in the world. Big fight for him against Maurizio Lara. A couple of cracking fights on the card, particularly Zelfa Barrett against Kiko Martinez, and a brilliant British title fight between Reece Mould and Lee Wood.
It's an action-packed schedule, but with that, given the current sort of pandemic, there will be fights that fall through. I think today we just lost Fowler versus Fortea. What can fans expect from like a reserve list? Do you have sort of fights up your sleeve that you're going to roll out? How does that sort of process work?
Yeah, so we're working on giving fighters the opportunity. We know in the small hall setup right now, it's virtually non-existent, it's done. But there are a lot of good fighters that aren't getting the opportunities, that might not have promotional contracts, that are ready to fight. So get these guys standing by, get them into the bubble, because fights are going to come and go in this schedule. Like you said, we had a COVID test positive, someone else has got injured. These fights are going to be moving around, fluctuating, and we want to make sure that we have a packed card at every opportunity. So there's some brilliant domestic 50-50s that we'll be announcing soon.
We just mentioned Anthony Fowler there. There was some quotes yesterday from Steve Wood to say Scott Fitzgerald's on the sort of straight and narrow now. When would we expect to see him back?
Well, Fitz will be out probably in March or early April, and then we want to go straight into the Fowler fight. I think Anthony Fowler needs that test now. We will reschedule the Fortea fight probably for April time as well. Get those guys out, get them firing, then July, August, I think a big rematch between Fitz and Fowler.
We've got about half a dozen names here. Fans are tweeting us constantly, just asking for a quick update. I wonder if you could give us the top line on the following fighters, starting with Dmitry Bivol.
Dmitry Bivol, actually, we're planning something quite bizarre for Dmitry Bivol. It's going to surprise a lot of people. 2 fights, one in April and one in July, both in different countries, let's just say that, but 2 good fights. And after a long period of inactivity, Dmitry Bivol looks like he's about to get very busy.
Same weight class, Joshua Buatsi.
Yeah, Joshua Buatsi, we was hoping he'd fight before the end of the year. Of course, he had a slight eye injury after that fight. He's going to be fighting, looks like end of April. Want to get him out, of course. Try and reschedule that fight with Blake Caparello, the World Championship eliminator, a Sullivan Barrera, those kind of fights. And then we'll see what happens domestically. What a great division. Craig Richards, Lyndon Arthur, Anthony Yard, Callum Johnson. There's some big domestic fights there for the summer.
Kazakh funder Daniyar Yeleussinov.
Great win last time out against Ndongo. He's ready. I was trying to get Golden Boy and DAZN to make the Virgil Ortiz fight. They didn't want that fight just yet. This guy is going to be a major problem for everyone at 147 pounds, and you're going to see him taking big steps now, back out in April.
The assassin James Tennyson?
James Tennyson, everyone's talking about the 4 kings, aren't they? Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez, Ryan Garcia, and Tank Davis. But James Tennyson, although, understandably not at that level yet, hasn't got the wins on his resume, but very dangerous. A real dark horse of the division. We're actually talking about him maybe fighting for the IBO world title to try and get a piece of the action. All those belts are taken at the moment, but ready for big steps up. I've talked about the Linares fight. I love that fight as well. And James Tennyson back probably May.
We saw on Before the Bell during Canelo Smith fight week, Liam Beefy Smith and Jesse Vargas had a little to do. Is that a fight that's realistic for this year?
Maybe. It's a fight that needs fans really to pay those guys what they want. We're actually working on a fight for Liam Smith in Russia at the moment. Good fight for him. So that could be sort of April time. And then, listen, I think we hope that as we move towards the summer, things will start getting back to normal. We'll be able to drive fans back into the arenas and make some of these bigger fights as well. So Liam Smith against Jesse Vargas is definitely on the radar for the summer.
Filip Hrgovic.
Filip Hrgovic, we were negotiating a fight with Martin Bakoli. We're trying to get that fight finalised. I think it's a great fight for both as well. Listen, Filip Hrgovic ready to go. Michael Hunter, I made an offer to. We didn't hear back from him and his team. That's a great fight. But Hrgovic ready. I believe he's one of the top heavyweights in the world, and you're going to see him in big tests and hopefully get himself to fight or in a position to fight for a world title by the end of this year. John Ryder got the win in December, a little run out. He's actually been ordered now by the WBA to fight for the regular world title against David Morrell. Tough fight. Inexperienced, undefeated Cuban, but a very good fighter as well. So we're negotiating that fight with the PBC at the moment. So that'll be probably April, May time for Johnny Ryder.
Ricky Burns, anything for him?
Just spoke to him actually this morning. Just wants a big fight, wants a big fight, 135 pounds, doesn't want to move to 140, wants to stay there. So, who's there for him? James Tennyson against Ricky Burns, anyone? Luke Campbell against Ricky Burns, anyone? Ricky's up for any of these fights at 135 and still fresh, still in the gym, still loving the sport.
Last couple, Israil Madrimov.
Well, we're planning a big Uzbekistan card, April 2nd, April 3rd weekend. It's going to be amazing if we can get Madrimov, Giasov and Akhmadaliev on that card. That'll be a historic moment for Uzbekistan. So April 2nd, hopefully Madrimov back in action and ready to fight for a world title. These guys aren't going to want to fight Israil Madrimov, but he's ready to go. Hughie Fury, obviously a terrible cut sustained in the Marius Wack fight, but he's planned for end of April, early May as well. And again, he's ready. All those guys, Hrgovic, obviously Chisora, always White, always ready for the big fights. Hughie Fury, ready, ready to be slung into round robins, into major championship fights, all looking for the big heavyweight fights.
Finally, Ritson.
Ritson's actually been ordered to fight a final eliminator for the IBF title against Ponce. 24-0, it's a tough fight, but a good fight. We've accepted the position and we're negotiating with his team now, and that fight you're going to see probably in May, hopefully in front of fans back in Newcastle.
That's great news. And just finally to wrap up, just an update on the three potentially following fights. So, I've seen a lot in the last week, Canelo versus Billy Joe. Obviously, Canelo's got a fight coming up, but is talks moving behind the scenes?
Yeah, I mean, look, that fight's agreed in principle. We're finalising all the details at the moment. I don't think Canelo wants to announce anything or do anything until he gets the victory over Yildirim. I know it's a fight that he's expected to win Feb 27th at Miami Dolphin Stadium, Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, but he's focused on that. If he wins that fight, I do believe you'll see him fight Billy Joe Saunders next, and we'll probably have Billy there that night in Miami to see if we can get an official announcement.
Another fighter that has a date penciled in, but very much a wanted man, is Joseph Parker. We've seen Derek Chisora in recent days.
Wow. I got a lot of messages last night saying, oh, Parker Chisora's done. No, but both guys desperate for that fight. That fight has already been scheduled. It's a brilliant fight. Big fight for Joseph Parker against Junior Farr, Feb 27 in New Zealand. That's a tough fight. If he comes through that, I would like to make Chisora against Parker probably in July.
Just finally, any updates on the undisputed heavyweight world championship fight?
No, we're back and forward with draft contracts. We've sent a draft contract. They've sent some minor changes, nothing too big. So again, we're moving in the right direction. I think I've lost count of the amount of times I've said the next 2 weeks, but the next 2 weeks, we hope for an official announcement, and then we go out and decide where this thing's going to take place.
Any countries in the frame?
Yeah, loads. I mean, we've had massive offers from the Middle East. We're talking to Qatar, we're talking to Saudi Arabia, we're talking to Abu Dhabi, we're talking to Singapore, we're talking to China, we're talking to America. A couple of wild cards in there as well. But first of all, I want to make sure the deal's in place. We can go out, we can talk to these people sensibly and with confidence. This fight is happening, and like I said, we're a couple of weeks away.
Great, thanks for your time.